Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. This is our TNA show for the week, and as you can see, my name is George Coles and I'm riding solo today. Let's get right into the show though. First we have the Aces and Eights coming out. They terrorize Mike TNA. The announced team for this week will be Jeremy Borash, and started off with Mr. Anderson and Taz, but eventually went to just Taz. They got Sabin came out, then Brooke Hogan came out, setting up the eventual Sabin versus Bully match next week. If Bully Ray doesn't win, he never gets the challenge for the world title again. Kind of like what they did with Sting a couple months back. Okay, opener of the show. Not horrible. Passable, I would say. Sabin is not really strong on the mic. Another reason why was questionable of putting the belt on him. Not that he didn't deserve it. He's busted his ass for the company, but just questionable. It's a critical time in TNA right now. There's a lot of people that are on the fence with the business and with this company specifically, and you need a strong champion for that to carry you, for people to keep tuned. I don't know if Sabin's the right guy right now, but hopefully he proves me wrong. First match of the night, we have Samoa Joe versus Jeff Hardy. Decent match, could have been a little bit better, I thought. Jeff Hardy wins after Joe's distracted by Mr. Anderson, further moving along the main event Mafia and Aces and Eights feud. I mean, it was okay. It could have been a lot better, like I said. I expect a little bit more out of both of these guys, to be honest with you. But it was okay, not bad. I didn't want to turn the channel as I have on some matches. Our next match of the night proved to be a very intriguing match for the ending. Mr. Anderson versus Magnus. Magnus has the upper hand on Anderson, where Bobby Roode comes out, hits Anderson with a chair, then pats Magnus on the shoulder, thus getting Magnus intentionally disqualified. Now, if you guys have been following along with the Bound for Glory series, if you get disqualified, you lose 10 points, and Magnus at this time is the leader by a large margin. This taking away 10 points from him brings him a little bit back to the pack. I love the thought that went into this. I love that they used Bobby Roode as a character to proceed with that. It really, to me, it was really well booked to do something like that, in my opinion. Now, coming off of that, we have something that just is an embarrassment to TNA. We had Tito Ortiz coming out to talk about why he's joined TNA Wrestling. Before he could speak, he's cut off by Kurt Angle, which is very reminiscent of what they did with Rampage Jackson just a few weeks ago. Then that brought out Bully Ray, who said he doesn't respect either of them. To me, the whole Tito Ortiz thing over the last 2 weeks and them constantly hyping it on this show really puts a damper on it. They fooled us with the big surprise and bringing out Tito Ortiz, which was a huge letdown. I know that this was taped, so they couldn't react to the ratings as much as if it was another live show and minimalized Tito, but still, it hurt the show in my opinion. But going on to something more fun, because that just sucked the air kind of out of the whole thing. We're going to go on our question of the week from last week. Now the question was, the last few weeks they had Jeremy Borash on commentary with TNA instead of Taz, and simple question, did you like Taz or Borash better? Now we have a couple answers from some of our friends. The first from our friend Handsome Pat Fannin. I miss hearing Taz sing hardcore country. As you've seen if you watch this week's show, he mentioned that in his commentary at some point that the fans are missing him sing that song. So Pat, I think you're right along there unless he's read your comments or you've tweeted them yourself. The next is from our friend Paul over at the Deadly Sins. I'd rather have Borash on commentary so Taz could do more with aces and eights. I kind of agree with that. I kind of liked the combination of Taz and Borash. Now, when I put that question out, I didn't know that, so I'm going to stick with what the original question was. I think Borash and Tenay is a little bit better than Taz and Tenay. I don't think Taz and Tenay have ever quite clicked. Not anything like Taz did with Michael Cole, or anything like Mike Tenay and Don West clicked. I actually thought Mike Tenay and Don West was a good announced team. I think Mike Tenay needs to be taken out of the picture. Jeremy Borash and Taz were excellent together. Maybe we start seeing more of JB on this. Who knows? But altogether, thanks for the answers, and we'll go on to the question of the week from this week. And this is borrowing a little bit from the IWX show, iwxshow.com. They got a great podcast. Check it out. My friend, the Mass Tweeter, hosting with my other friend, Bunkhouse Bob. Great show. Check them out every Tuesday. They're on sabbatical right now or hiatus, whatever you want to call it, until September 10th. But check out the archives, iwxshow.com. They're on iTunes as well. But anyway, I digress. Sorry for the cheap plug, folks. This is stolen from that show. Mass Tweeter had asked us, so I'm going to ask you guys your opinion. If you were given the book and you were the head booker of TNA, who would you build the company around that's currently on their roster? Let us know what you think. Hit us up on our Facebook. Hit us up on Twitter. Put it down where? Down there in the comments. Anyway, going back to the show, we had the Bromans and Mickey James versus Storm and Gunner with ODB. Kind of interesting that they have, and like I said, I know it was a tape show, so it happened before that. They're so heavy on the alcoholics on the show, considering the DUI problems that Kurt Angle had. It kind of really came to light on this with the two of them being in the same match. Decent six-way mixed tag match, nothing special. At the end, Gail Kim comes out and attacks ODB, furthering their feud. But, you know, this just seemed like another one of those filler-type matches. Nothing great, nothing bad, just enough to keep you interested, not to change the channel. Now, the next match of the night was the one was one of the two I was really looking forward to. Frankie Kazarian versus Christopher Daniels. Bad Influence. They teased that they were having troubles the whole week. Started off a good, solid match. Then they both look at each other and both walk out and intentionally get each other counted out, thus ending in a double countout. Both of them pick up 2 points. Going forward, obviously they're not broken up. While they're standing on the ramp, Robert Roode comes to the ring, walks right through them, and basically the three of these guys are now a faction. So now we have 3 heel factions in TNA. We have 2 heel factions and a face faction. We have the Aces and Eights, the Main Event Mafia, and now Roode, Kaz, and Daniels, whatever they're going to call their thing. I'd like to see them add Aries into the mix a little bit. I understand that he's gone on to a little something different, splitting with Roode, but I kind of like this grouping. I wish there wasn't so many factions in TNA that this could really stand out, but I like the 3 of them. I think the 3 of them together, working kind of a Fortune / 4 Horsemen type gimmick where Roode goes for the world title and Kaz and Daniels are used to protect him going into that, while they themselves go for the World Tag Team Championships, a la Ric Flair and Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, if you guys remember back far enough. Or, if you don't, Evolution, where Triple H was the champion and guys like Batista and Orton and Flair were used to kind of as a buffer you had to go through them to get to Triple H. I'd like to see that here. I think it would be awesome. The 3 of them together, it could be a great pairing in my opinion. I see good things coming from it. Now, the next match, the main event of the night, we had the returning Team 3D, Bubba Ray and Devon, or Bully Ray and Devon, sorry. I'm a Dudley Boys fan forever. Anyway, Team 3D versus Chris Sabin and any member of the main event Mafia. He comes walking towards the ring with Sting. However, it's a swerve because Kurt Angle attacks from behind. Really solid tag team match. Love the fact that they hit 3D on Kurt Angle. The table comes into play. Bully ends up going through the table. Angle and Sabin end up winning. Sabin continually looking strong, I guess, in this. The one thing I have a bit of an issue with Sabin, and against Team 3D / Dudleys. The Dudleys are such a legendary team that it kind of feels weird that Chris Sabin has so many important wins. He's the first guy to kick out of the 3D. I think he's still the only guy. He beat Bully Ray for the world title. You got stuff like this. It's kind of weird, odd, in my opinion, that he's that guy. No knock on Sabin. Again, I think he's a good talent. I just think he's not an upper echelon talent. There's guys that are good, and they're mid-card guys, and that serves a great purpose. Guys like over the years, and this is not a knock to anybody. You need those guys like Goldust, X-Pac, guys that you could put in the middle of the card and they would keep the fans interested, and you could give them matches and they try to steal the show. Guys like Billy Gunn, and to me, Chris Sabin's one of those guys. I don't see him as a main event guy. He's getting the rub a little bit, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact of how many of the injuries he's piled up while being in TNA, and this is more of a, how can I say this, more of a, I don't know, like a consolation prize, I guess you would say, is the best I can think of. But again, I don't think he's a horrible wrestler. I just don't think he's right for the position he's in. And speaking of that, we're going to go right into our ratings for the show. Well, actually, before I go into the ratings, I wanted to talk about something that I noticed all through the show. A lot of people bummed out on the fan side about the Tito Ortiz signing, and I didn't really notice it last week, even though last week's show was terrible. This week, it kind of seemed like there was a lot of listless, I don't care type wrestling. Joe vs. Hardy was seemed like they just went through the motions. The Bromance, Mickey James, Storm, Gunner, and ODB match was like that. Kaz and Daniels was good. They could have used it to save the show with having them have a solid competitive match, but I enjoy what they did with it. And it just, to me, it seems like you can almost noticeably see the locker room morale has gone down a bit ever since the Tito signing. That's just my take on it. I'm not on the inside loop. I don't know any backstage info. That just is what it seems like watching the show. That, coupled with the fact that Sabin's a little bit weaker of a champion, really lays a little bit. I mean, I did get to see my favorite move of all time, the 3D. I think it's the best move in wrestling history. Personally, I just enjoy it. I think there's so many ways they could get into it, much like an RKO. I enjoy the fact that other than one person, it's destroyed everybody it's ever came up against. But anyway, I digress. Before we go into the ratings, we have our Hulk Hogan Thunder Lips count for the week. For the second straight week, it's at a big fat squadouche. 0 Hulk Hogan's. You would think it would make the show better, but these last 2 weeks have shown that maybe it doesn't. Maybe Hulk Hogan does bring a certain excitement. Maybe he brings a certain excitement to the locker room that's not there when he's not there. Who knows? It's been noticeably a lesser show without him there, even though I personally would rather see him there. I mean, this would be optimal for me, 2 weeks in a row with no Hogan. So, but anyway, finally, we're going to get into our rating system. Now, the ratings have changed around a little bit. We've adjusted due to the fluid nature of wrestling. We have a rating scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the best and 1 being the worst. Now, 1 is a Jesse Goddard, 2 is a Garrett Bischoff, 3 is a James Storm, 4 is a Christopher Daniels, and now this is where the change was. Number 5 is a Robert Roode. Used to be it was a Kurt Angle. I don't think with the DUI issue he has for the 4th time that he deserves to be considered the pillar of the company and considered the litmus test. So we're slotting in Robert Roode. And I'm going to go ahead and give this show a 2, a Garrett Bischoff. Anderson and Magnus was probably the only match I really thoroughly enjoyed on the show. Seeing the 3D was awesome. Other than that, very lackluster. The new grouping, Roode, Daniels, and Kaz was pretty decent. But other than that, really just a lackluster show. Not a lot of effort put out, in my opinion. I'd love to hear what you guys think. If you guys think I'm way off on this, or if you've seen the same thing I'm seeing, again, let us know. Hit us in our comments, Facebook or Twitter, wherever you want to talk about it. But anyway, basically that's all I have to say about the show. My name is George Coles, and this has been another episode of Heel Heat.